What if I told you there are places where time forgets to move, where light rests like memory on stone, and the wind still carries voices that no one remembers speaking? This is not a journey through Europe. It's a passage through something older, quieter, wiser. Beneath the surface of cathedrals, vineyards, glaciers, and ruins lies a silence that has seen everything and forgotten nothing. Welcome to another journey with Ruach realms, where landscapes become stories and silence speaks louder than words. This is Timeless Europe, where light still lingers, a cinematic passage through the soul of the old world. In the quiet valleys of Switzerland, homes are not built. They are placed gently, as if the earth herself chose where they should rest. Here, green fields stretch like sighs between the trees, and the shadows of clouds paint stories on the land. Cows graze in slow rhythm, their bells echoing like soft questions into the stillness, unanswered and perfectly content to remain so. The forests do not speak. They simply stand, watching, remembering, holding the shape of time without needing to change it. In a world rushing toward the future, this is a place that still lingers in its own moment, and that is enough. And then the mountains lean closer, only to disappear again, in the mirror of a lake that never speaks above a whisper. Here, boats rest like dreams not yet woken, held gently in the breath between wind and water. Nothing moves, except the sky itself, floating quietly on the surface of stillness. But Switzerland holds more than beauty. Beneath these quiet hills lie thousands of hidden military bunkers, tunnels carved deep into Alpine stone, disguised as barns, chalets, even farmhouses, a country that stayed neutral in war, but was always prepared for one. They called it the Swiss National Redoubt, a secret fortress of the mountains, meant to guard the very soul of the nation. Even now, many of these chambers remain sealed, forgotten, or perhaps waiting. At golden hour, even the water seems to exhale, soft light spilling across the harbor, like memory across a quiet room. Boats drift, but not away. They linger, as if tethered not to ropes, but to a feeling they've never quite let go of. In these Alpine harbors, twilight arrives not as an ending, but as a hush, a pause between day and dream. In the Austrian Alps, winter doesn't arrive, it descends, soft as breath and steady as a hymn. The trees here wear silence like a crown, each branch etched in white, not with snow, but with stillness. These are mountains that remember, where footsteps vanish, but something deeper always remains. But beneath Austria's quiet snowfields lie secrets far older than the trees above them. This is a land of salt and silence. Deep inside its mountains are some of the oldest salt mines in the world, like the Hallstatt mine, used over 7,000 years ago, where early civilizations carved tunnels through stone before the Roman Empire was even born. Even today, the earth here remembers what we no longer teach. Not all beauty announces itself. Some of it waits at the edge of a frozen lake, beneath the breath of bare trees. Here in Austria, winter paints with restraint, a quiet brushstroke of silver on every branch, a hush so complete, you begin to hear your own thoughts returning home. The lake doesn't move, it reflects, not just the sky above it, but the stillness we forgot we needed. There are paths the world forgets, not because they vanish, but because they ask for nothing. In the mountains of Austria, A single track carves through the snow, unrushed, unbothered by destination. Trains once passed here, carrying letters, stories, maybe even goodbyes. But today, the rails are quiet, and that quiet feels like peace. Along the sunlit curves of Lake Geneva, the land grows patient things. These are the Vineyards of Laux, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where wine has been grown since the 11th century. Each terrace was built by hand, each grape shaped by light, stone, and story. The vines rise in rows like ancient verses, their fruit not rushed, but revealed. Laux is known for its Chasselas grape, pale, golden, and quietly powerful, just like the hills that hold it. Here, the soil doesn't just nourish, it remembers. And in every bottle, 1,000 sunsets are bottled too. Paris doesn't ask to be admired, it simply stands, as if beauty was always meant to take this shape. From the Tuileries garden to the Pont Neuf, from stone lions to silent fountains, this is a city that remembers how to carry grace. The Seine curves like a line from a poem, and every bridge is a sentence paused, waiting for footsteps, waiting for thought. Known as La Ville Lumière, the city of light, Paris was one of the first cities to be lit by gas in the 1800s, but its glow was never just about the lamps. It's the way the buildings hold morning, the way the wind softens over cobblestone, the way time slows, so that beauty can last a little longer. As the sun begins to fall, Paris doesn't dim, it glows. The rooftops blush under golden skies, the Seine turns to silk, and the city breathes in a slower rhythm, as if even time has paused just to watch. This light is not hurried. It lingers. It knows what it touches is worth remembering. Below, the river curves past centuries, from the Île de la Cité, where Paris began, to bridges that once watched revolutions unfold and lovers meet in silence. And as the shadows stretch, you realize Paris doesn't end with nightfall. It begins. The river slows, mirroring the arches of bridges that have stood for centuries, witnesses to parades, protests, kisses, and departures. There are over 30 bridges that cross the Seine within Paris, each one a thread in the city's quiet, eternal conversation. The oldest among them, Pont Neuf, has watched this river flow for over 400 years. Each ripple feels like a memory being carried downstream, half lit, half lost. Above it all, the rooftops hold a fading glow, as if the light itself is reluctant to leave. And perhaps that's the secret of Paris. It never truly darkens. It just becomes more intimate. In the folds of the Austrian Alps, life doesn't rush. It rises gently with the morning fog and settles slowly with the evening sun. White churches ring their bells across green valleys, and homes, wooden, steep-roofed, time-worn, stand as if they've always been part of the hills themselves. More than half of Austria's population lives in rural areas, and these mountain villages are models of quiet self-sufficiency, powered now by solar grids, yet still grounded in age-old farming, seasonal rhythms, and alpine humility. Here, the mountains are not distant backdrops. They are neighbors, silent, towering, constant. To live here is not to escape time, but to walk beside it at a gentler pace. Not all roads lead somewhere fast. Some were made for wandering, for letting the mind drift with every turn. In the Austrian Alps, the roads curve like thoughts through the mountains, winding, patient, unbothered by destination. They pass forests that have stood for centuries, villages nestled like secrets, and hills that seem to lean closer just to listen. To drive here is not to conquer a path, but to surrender to it. Because in these mountains you don't follow a road, you follow a rhythm. In the shadow of the Dolomites, villages do not rise. They rest, folded gently into the earth, as if placed there by the hand of quiet intention. The roads here know how to disappear, slipping beneath bridges, carving through valleys, always choosing grace over speed. This is where Austria meets Italy, where Alpine peaks and Tyrolean traditions share a border not marked by walls, but by rivers and ridgelines. The Dolomites, part of the southern limestone Alps, are not just mountains. They are stone memories, formed over 200 million years ago beneath ancient seas. And if you listen closely, you can still hear the ocean, in the wind between the cliffs. Some waters don't just reflect the sky, they seem to remember it. This is Lake Fuschl, one of the clearest lakes in all of Austria, where the colors shift with the seasons, from glacier green to deep alpine blue. No cities, no crowds, only silence and the soft breath of the hills around it. Once part of the estates of the archbishops of Salzburg, its shores still cradle old castles and walking paths where time slows with every step. It's not a lake you visit, it's a lake you return to, even if only in thought. Some landscapes are not built to be lived in. They're meant to be remembered. This is Iceland, where the land is carved by glaciers and volcanoes, and the horizon looks like it was imagined before time began. Here, ice breaks like glass into the sea. Rivers braid themselves across ash-black valleys, and cliffs crumble into silence that has never heard applause. Over 11% of Iceland is covered by glaciers, yet just beneath them, the island breathes with over 30 active volcanic systems, a contradiction that only nature dares to hold. It is not soft beauty, but beauty born of pressure, of elements that collide and never settle. To walk here is not just to travel, it is to stand where the earth still creates itself. The earth dreams in patterns, and here in Iceland, it dreams aloud. From above, the braided rivers stretch like silver veins across the black skin of volcanic plains. A map drawn by melting glaciers and ancient ice. The water doesn't rush. It weaves, pulling threads of sediment and snow, stitching stories into stone. These surreal river networks form where glacial meltwater meets soft volcanic soil, splitting and rejoining endlessly, neither lost nor fully found. And at the edge of it all, cliffs rise and waterfalls fall, not for spectacle, but because gravity here is just another form of poetry. Where the mountains touch the sea like fingers reaching home, you find Norway. These are the Lofoten Islands, villages cradled by cliffs, anchored in still water, bathed in a light that feels hand-painted. The air here is not cold. It's clear, as if the sky has been filtered through centuries of silence. Many of these fishing villages date back to the Viking Age, where wooden roerboer cabins line the shore, and cod still dries in the Arctic wind, just as it did 1,000 years ago. Beyond the harbors, the fjords open like invitations, not loud, but impossible to refuse. This is not just where land ends, it's where wonder begins. These are the northern lights, the Aurora Borealis, not just a spectacle, but a celestial dialogue, born from solar winds, rivers of charged particles cast out by the sun, that voyage across the void to meet Earth's magnetic field. There, in the upper atmosphere, the collision becomes a performance. Oxygen breathes green into the sky, Nitrogen sighs in hues of violet and pink. Above 65 degrees latitude, the night sky doesn't just darken, it awakens, and the heavens paint themselves in living light. They were shaped by centuries of snow, carved into mountains by time itself. From Norway to the Alps, from Iceland's Vatnajökull to the tongues of Jostedalsbreen, glaciers have stood as frozen monuments to a colder Earth. But now they melt, not over millennia, but within lifetimes. In just 2 years, Switzerland lost 10% of its glacial ice. The giants are vanishing, and with them, a memory of stillness. There is a place where mountains rise from the sea like ancient thoughts, jagged, quiet, enduring. This is Lofoten, Norway's Arctic cathedral, sculpted in snow and salt. In winter, the lakes freeze with grace. The sun sets slow, casting fire across the ice as if the sea itself were dreaming. Here, stillness is not absence, it is presence. A presence so vast, the heart falls silent. You don't explore Lofoten, you surrender to it. In the far white silence where the wind forgets its name, they walk, steady, soft, as if woven from the land itself. These are the reindeer, Arctic nomads, drawn not by conquest, but by instinct. Their hooves trace ancient routes across tundra and frozen river, guided by memory older than maps. To the Sami people, they are more than beasts. They are lifeblood, rhythm, story. And when the snow begins to fall again, they do not run, they remain. Because in this land, endurance is not survival, it is wisdom. And then the silence softened. The snow gave way to soil, and the earth breathed green again. This is Germany's quiet countryside, where light slips through trees like memory through time. Forests once walked by kings and philosophers, now hum with birdsong and bees. Every trail, a page in a story written not with ink, but with roots. Here, nature does not roar, it whispers. And in that whisper, you find something rare, peace, that doesn't ask to be earned. And then we arrived in the south, where the stone glows with heat, and the past still walks the streets. This is Catania, not just a city, but a memory carved in limestone. Baroque facades lean into narrow alleys, rooftops ripple like terracotta waves, and time here doesn't pass. It lingers. Beneath every balcony, stories hang like drying linen, and in the echo of footsteps, you hear more than footsteps. You hear history breathing. Italy doesn't ask you to hurry. It invites you to feel, slowly, deeply, as if life itself were made of light and stone. Catania was built on layers of fire, twice destroyed, first by Mount Etna's eruption in 1669, then by a massive earthquake in 1693. What you see today is a city reborn from ruin, carved in lava stone and crowned with Sicilian Baroque. Its churches, palaces, and piazzas were designed not just to impress, but to endure. From the air, the rooftops tell their own story. Rows of red and ochre tiles, stitched together like the memory of sunlight. Beneath your feet, ancient ruins sleep. Greek theaters, Roman baths, hidden beneath newer streets. And always, above it all, looms Etna, silent for now, but never still. In Catania, stone doesn't just stand, it speaks. Sculpted after fire and quake, this is Sicilian Baroque, bold, dramatic, born from ruin. Saints lean from facades, angels rise from balconies carved from Etna's lava stone and crowned in marble. The Duomo of Catania isn't just a cathedral, it's a resurrection in stone. Every detail, a story waiting in silence. Long before cities rose in marble, they rose in stone, under open skies where gods once walked among men. These are the ruins of ancient Sicily, temples built for Zeus, Hera, Athena, their columns still standing after empires have fallen silent. Time broke their roofs, but not their meaning. Even now, in this golden light, they hold something sacred, not in shape, but in presence. The earth forgets fast, but stone remembers. On the coast of Normandy, the land does not end, it rises. These are the cliffs of Etretat, carved by wind, shaped by tide, glowing gold in the light of a slow sunset. Painters once came here, chasing light that never stayed the same. Monet, Courbet, all drawn to the way sea met stone like a conversation. Arches bend toward the ocean, not broken, but listening. And above it all, the green hills breathe softly, as if the earth itself were watching its own masterpiece. In the quiet north, where winter arrives not with violence but with reverence, there stands a city that feels suspended in time. This is Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and one of Europe's most beautifully preserved medieval cities. From above, its rooftops glow under a veil of snow, while Gothic spires and watchtowers pierce the pastel sky. The old town, with its winding alleys and amber-lit windows, has stood for centuries, untouched by haste. In winter, the city slows even further. Footsteps soften, voices lower, and the frost seems to seal the stories into the stone. Tallinn is not a city you rush through. It is a place you listen to, where history lingers in the corners, and every flake of snow feels like a whispered memory falling gently from the sky. In the quiet embrace of the Alps, where peaks whisper to the sky and the wind moves like a hymn, you'll find lakes that do not speak. But remember, this is Austria's high country, where water runs so clear it feels like time itself has been filtered. Glacial fed and ancient, these lakes reflect more than mountains. They reflect stillness. The forests here are not in bloom. They are in balance. Pine and fir, rooted in patience, rise like sentinels along the mirrored shore. The air carries the scent of stone, moss, and quiet resolve. No urgency lives here, only rhythm, only rest. And when you walk these trails, every step slows the breath, not from effort, but from reverence. Austria's mountains do not boast. They listen, and in their stillness, they offer us the rarest thing of all, peace. Snow begins to fall again, not as storm, but as silence. The trees wear their white coats, the lake holds its breath, and somewhere in the stillness, the world folds inward. No voice here, no hurry, just the hush of winter returning to remind us beauty does not always ask to be seen. Sometimes it waits. A boat rests by the shore, unmoving, yet full of meaning. a reminder that even still things can carry us to deeper places. And so we end here, not at the edge of the map, but at the edge of ourselves. The journey never truly ends. It simply changes form and waits to be followed again. For more echoes like these, stories carved in stone, whispered in snow, and carried by the wind, follow Ruach realms. The world still has so much to say. Let's keep listening together.